A Kundalini awakening is not limited to a certain person, a generation, people of certain religions, specific religions, race, ethnicity, none of that. Because a Kundalini awakening is literally when your soul is trying to wake you up. It's that connection to the divine, that connection to source that flows through all of us. So people that, sorry, I'm breathing hard. I just like ran a mile, but people that may be, oh look, these birds keep, whenever I'm talking, they keep just landing and showing up. So anyone could be literally going through a Kundalini awakening. Now, they might not know what's happening to them. They might not identify it with them because the culture and the conditioning runs so deep, especially like religious beliefs. I've had people of different types of religions feel really pulled or called to work with me, but then kind of hold back because of their belief systems. So it's not limited to anyone really, and it's our own fears and limiting belief systems that can kind of get in the way of this energy flowing through us. But some signs that you're going through a Kundalini awakening is when you start to ask questions, when you start to feel that higher connection to God, to source energy, when you realize like, wait, life is meant for more. I'm not meant to slave away at this 9 to 5 and then be home and be miserable and have no energy for my wife and my kids or my partner, have no energy to create. It's when all these questions start to come up. It doesn't even have to get so far as to existence, the question of existence, but yeah, absolutely, that does happen as well. I remember in the beginning of my like deeper awakening, like the concept of past lives freaked me out, and here I am, old as fuck, right, soul, and I was most likely terrified because yeah, not all the lifetimes have been fun, and sometimes like our cellular our cells and our DNA remember things and we're afraid to go back there and look at them. So that's most likely what I was afraid of. But it's actually come up when I've done clearings on myself. But anyways, those are some signs that you're going through a Kundalini awakening. Also, if you're going through a period, what we call like an ego death or like the dark night of the soul, this is where things just don't feel the same anymore, and a lot of people sometimes tie it to, or they believe that they're like depressed or something, when in reality their soul is going through a major freaking breakthrough. So if you notice yourself isolating a lot, like things aren't bringing you the same certain things aren't bringing you the same joy or satisfaction, you're like craving, well, you're not necessarily craving something more, but you're just like, wow, this doesn't make sense to me anymore, this doesn't fully fit anymore, like this, it's because that old identity no longer suits you. And where we create extra pain and like suffering when we're going through this, number one is when we don't accept and realize what we're going through and allow ourselves to go through the process. But yeah, number two, when we're resisting change, when we keep trying to force ourselves in these old boxes and identities and things like that, that's kind of where the pain and the resistance comes in. So those are just some signs of a Kundalini awakening. And the way to make it out of a dark night of the soul or an ego death is to truly, honestly, I know easier said than done, but it truly is to surrender. It truly is to feel your feelings, to see where you're at, to see what's coming up to be processed, because on the other side of that is a huge breakthrough. And personally, like in my life, sometimes I like to give examples because it helps to provide like tangible, I guess, like proof or whatnot. But personally, I've gone through these cycles multiple times, and people are just like baffled when they realize like, wow, like you had how many NDEs, and that sounds for like near-death experiences. I was in a horrible car accident when I was 17. I literally almost fell off a cliff. I was not driving. We hit a tree and then I almost went down a cliff. I had nephrotic kidney syndrome when I was, around the same age. Just found my dad died, like all these crazy things, right? But after each one of these, it was like a deeper purification of my soul. It was a deeper connection to God source energy. It was a deeper connection to my purpose. And as I went through my own experiences, even my dad passing away when I was young, and even like my brother going to prison when I was 7, like all these things, it made me realize, like, sure, maybe I didn't have as much like fun and stuff as like a kid, right, because I had to grow up fast, but it also made me realize like, oh shit, I came here for a purpose. I remember tapping into that frequency like very young. Like I became very purpose oriented very quickly, and it wasn't just from the pure trauma. It was literally because it's like my soul was waking up like, hey girl, you came here to do something, you know? And of course have my own experiences, and yes, tap into joy and love and whatnot. But my journey was a lot of alchemy and purpose to really live a meaningful life and to help others rise and to help others kind of wake up and step into that full embodiment. So after each of these deeper experiences or dark nights, I really transcended them, and I really came up even more like up ahead. So when people see me now, and it's unfortunate when people see me and they feel threatened or something like that, when I'm like, wow, I wish, ideally my goal would be to just inspire people, you know, but I know that triggering is also a medicine, but not realizing like, you know, I went through all this to be here, right? All these experiences, and being, you know, an attorney, self-employed, and now doing my energy healing work and doing really, really powerful, you know, activating Kundalini, all the shamanic healing work. Like, it's just like night and day, right? Like the career choices, the types of work that I do. But that all came from going, you know, through these dark nights of the soul, connecting more to God's source energy, to my own soul, and realizing like, oh, I'm going deeper here. I'm being expanded more. I'm cleaning up the closet, you know, and I'm expanding more and more into my soul and my connection to God's source energy. And then realizing like, yeah, like I came here to have this experience, to tap into my truth, wisdom, to share with others, to help others rise, you know. And like this visit here on earth is very short in this lifetime, you know, compared to all the lifetimes we've been here. It's like a, how do you call it? I don't know, like a deep breath of fresh air or something. It's like, it's quick, right? And we don't fully recognize that because we get so caught up in our own turmoil or our own experiences. So I really invite you and I encourage you that if any of these resonated for you, signs that you may be on a Kundalini awakening, to honestly just lean in to what's being shown. Try not to be so hard on yourself. Try not to really fit back into those boxes, that conditioning, the programming that was instilled. You know, this isn't to blame others or the institutions or to blame our parents or anything like that, but just try not to force yourself back into that box, because you're not meant to be there. And if you do try to force yourself, you're going to be miserable, because your soul wants you to expand. So this is how you reduce that load of suffering, and you allow yourself to really step into your mission and purpose, into where you're headed, allowing yourself to have all these experiences. And what's really cool is once we start to really level up, all these blessings and experiences and even abundance in different ways just show up. It's incredible, honestly, in the synchronicities. Literally, I was working through something earlier today. A hummingbird flew just like this bird, but like a hummingbird, literally like right in my face, you know. And it's just like how many blessings from God just show up continuously in our lives to show us like, hey, you're on the right track, like keep going, like good job, you know. So I invite you to really lean into that and see what's being shown to you. You don't have to see the full like picture image right now, because you're gonna see it as you move through it. You're gonna start to be like, oh, this makes so much sense, you know, because I can see in the past like, oh wow, like why I had those experiences, right? It didn't make sense then, but just it's more of a process of not resisting and leaning into what's being shown and trusting that it's all going to be revealed to you in due timing. And if you need help on your journey, I'm here. I do the Kundalini activation work. I also do the coaching calls and whatnot. So I do have so many offerings. So anyhow, hope to connect soon.